Hello, class. Welcome back again. We're going to just be going over your first lab on the Flint Water Crisis, creating a frequency table. Remember, you're going to start off here. You're going to make a copy and rename it with your first and last name. You're going to answer the questions in SAS. And so here, remember to make a copy, you're going to File. You're going to go to Making Copy, make a copy. You're going to put your first and last name there. Okay. You're going to answer some of these questions. Which ones are categorical variables? We're going to make a frequency table of the zip codes. You're going to look at the zip codes yourself and look at the demographics. Okay, you're going to look at the frequency of wards, all right, the different sections of the city. What are some interesting demographics about that? We're going to look at the lead and copper rule to see what happens with that. And then you're going to create a new variable to see if this violates the lead and copper rule. All right. And then you're going to answer these questions on your own. All right. So remember, we're going to go right now to SAS Studio. You're going to see your Flint Water Crisis, the Flint samples here. All right. We're going to go here to edit. And the only thing we're going to really change is where it says out. Okay. And we're going to just change that. We could keep those names the same. I like to name things. So this is Flint, and we're going to go to work.flint, and that is going to be the name of our worksheet. And so remember, in SAS, you take this little man right here and you run. Okay. And I like to put this here in a new browser. Okay. These are our samples. Excuse me. These are our variable names: sample ID, the ward, the zip codes, the parts per billion 1, which is the actual lead level from each home, parts per billion 2, and parts per billion 3. All right, well, let's go back here to SAS. We're going to write our first code. So we're literally going to make a frequency table. Okay, so we're just going to go to PROC FREQ. Now, it doesn't matter if it's capitalized or not. SAS, it's going to recognize it. So I'm going to go to PROC FREQ, and you see things are popping up. SAS kind of wants you to have things. I'm going to type in data because you just have to tell it where is the data. So you can type in work or press it, work dot, and you see Flint pops up right there. Okay. So in frequency, the only categorical variables are going to work here. So you have to tell it table. And what categorical variable are we working with? It's this one, zip code. Okay. And we talked about that in class. Why is zip code a categorical? It's not really a numerical variable. It's a category. All right. And I'm going to type in run. And all I have to do is go ahead and highlight those and press the running man here. Cool. So as you can see, you have the zip codes. You can see that I asked you which one. You can look at the frequency or the percent, and that's going to tell you the question that you have, which one is the most frequent. You put your code, put a picture of that table, go in and look at some interesting demographics. Okay, so we know that this one here, 48503, is the most frequent. I'll go here and I'll type in 48. Sorry, I didn't forgot what it was. 48503. And I'm going to just type in demographics. And so they give you some here. You can see that it's predominantly black and white, really mixed. So it's not a predominant black neighborhood. It's not a predominant white neighborhood. It's pretty 50-50. Not a lot of Asians, not a lot of Latino, but the one that I kind of look at is this United States zip code, and they have a lot of the different demographics here where they have the median home value, the median income. Is that high or low? These are the things you want to look at. This is the population there, single families, all these different things. Okay. All right, cool. So nothing hard about that. So then I asked you to do the same thing uh, with wards. Okay. Do the same thing with wards. So I'm going to just copy this And so a lot of writing SAS code is just copying. Okay, a lot of it is copying. So I'm going to do that. Now, the only thing I'm going to change is my variable. This is Ward. Okay, so I'm going here. This was Ward. So I'm going to just copy that to make sure I have the right spelling. I'm going to put in Ward here. Okay, I'm going to highlight that and I'm just going to run it. Okay, so now you see the frequency of the different wards. All right, and I want you to figure out, well, which ward is the most frequent in this actual data set. Cool. So then if we go back here, we'll see that it asks us a question about the lead and copper rule. What are the two things? So I already have that here. This is just straight off the EPA's website, and you could kind of just look here and you could see that if the lead level is over the parts per billion 15, then that's a problem. And then 10% of the samples, if it's 10% of those that are samples are over 15, then that's a serious problem. Okay, so let's go ahead and what we're gonna do is we're gonna have to write a brand new variable to kind of look at that. So I'm gonna write a new variable. So I'm going to write data, and that's telling SAS I'm making a brand new data set. So I'm gonna call that Flint 2. Since that we have a Flint 1, I'm gonna type in set, and set tells us that where are you getting it from? So I'm getting it from work.flint. That means I'm getting the data from work.flint. That's the set. And I'm just going to use regular logic. I'm going to say if parts per billion 1, because that is what my variable is, right? It's the parts per billion. You can see that down there, parts per billion. If parts per billion 1 is greater than 15, right? Because that's the problem. Then I'm going to call this new variable level. I'm just making this variable up, level. Level is equal to, we're going to type in unsafe. And I got to make sure that I have a semicolon at the end. So it's going to say wherever I see a parts per billion that's over 15, then I'm going to call that unsafe. Then I'm going to go to else. Okay, anything else, level is going to be equal to safe. So anything under there is going to be considered safe according to the EPA. Okay, and I'm just going to run that. So I have a new data set. It's going to be from my original data set, work.flint. Anything over 15 is going to be unsafe. Anything else is going to be considered safe. And so I'm going to just run that. All right, and as you can see, I have a new data set here, and this last is level. So some of these you can see that this is 40, so that's pretty horrible. If 15 is the limit and that's 40, this is unsafe. Okay, 20, unsafe. There's 120, that's crazy, that's unsafe. All of these things, so you can kind of look through there. All right, well, how do we know which ones are unsafe? Or the EPA rule said 10% of the samples, so we got 271 samples. So now let's just do what we were doing. We have PROC frequency. We're going to make a frequency table, but now my data is coming from my new data set, Flint 2. All right. So I'm going to say table is going to be that new variable that we created called level. Okay, we just created that, and I'm going to run that. So this is my code. And so when we go here, I have this nice table here of, okay, this is the frequency, but as statisticians, we like to see the percent more than the actual number frequency. Okay, so what are you saying? So 16% are actually unsafe. I think that I want you to look at this 10. Is it over 10%? Obviously, right? So that is a serious problem. So you're going to take a screenshot of that. All right, you're going to put that in there. You're going to tell me, does that violate the rule? And give me a college answer. And then give me your final thoughts on all of that. Thank you very much.